Hi and welcome to this short video. I'm Nick Davis of N Davis Training. Now in this video I'm going to be talking to you about using breathing to control stress. Now it's something I've actually been aware of for quite a number of years, as it's an essential part of the martial art which I train in called Systema. Indeed it is actually listed as being one of the 4 pillars of Systema, the other 3 being movement, relaxation and posture. But it's not something that's totally unique to Systema, as other martial arts also do teach breathing techniques as a means of controlling stress, as well as a lot of closely related Eastern philosophies. And actually it is something that I have found useful in controlling my stress levels during potentially confrontational situations in the past. But I've always wondered why. Indeed, actually having an understanding of how breath training can assist in controlling stress is quite essential, especially if you do teach personal safety like I do. And it can be quite useful when teaching personal safety, conflict management, physical intervention and self-defense. Now, I've actually attended a lot of conflict management and personal safety training in the past and also delivered it myself. And it's always been stated during this training that you should try and remain as calm as possible. And this, of course, is true. However, it does irritate me a little bit when trainers don't actually teach you how to remain calm. They tell you to stay calm, but don't actually train you how to do so. Now, there are people who can naturally do this, but all of us, it's very difficult to stay calm and to control the fight or flight response. And like I say, a lot of trainers don't bother to actually teach it. And I think it's important to do so. We're missing a trick there. So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how you can use breathing to control the fight or flight response, and also about a great little app that you can actually use to help you to train how to use breathing in this respect.
Okay, so let's have a look at controlling the fight or flight response through breathing. Now this actually comes from leading researchers and authorities in the field such as Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman, Bruce Siddle, Caliber Press and Gary Klugovitz. It has been used in personal safety training for quite a considerable amount of time, including martial arts, as I mentioned before. But first of all, we need to ask ourselves what stress, or more specifically fight or flight, actually is. Now, stress is the primary response triggered by the part of the brain known as the amygdala when faced with a threat. When stress is triggered, the body releases hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones cause the heart rate and breathing to increase in order to pump more blood and oxygen to the body, either to fight or for flight. Also, blood starts to clot and muscles tense, saliva dries up, etc., etc. Now, in order to understand how the amygdala controls the fight or flight response, we need to understand briefly how it relates to the nervous system. And basically, we have 2 nervous systems. The somatic nervous system, which is for conscious control and which we can control by conscious thought, such as picking something up, such as a knife and fork. And the autonomic nervous system, which is for unconscious control, which controls autonomic responses such as involuntary breathing, sleeping, fight or flight, etc. Now the autonomic includes the following: the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is basically the system that activates when we encounter a threat and which therefore leads to arousal through the fight or flight response. When this is activated, the heart rate increases and more energy becomes consumed. At this point, physiological changes take place, such as blood being pumped faster around the body to resupply oxygen, muscles tensing for fighting or running, and digestion also ceasing to function. As well as this, hormones such as adrenaline, noradrenaline and cortisol are also released to aid this process, and there are a number of other associated changes that occur, but we'll leave those for future videos. Now conversely, the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in when we need to relax, especially after increased energy expenditure. This is effectively the body going through a process of rest and recuperation when it needs to restore its energy levels. This is when natural bodily functions such as digestion and restful sleep occur. Now the natural balance between these 2 independent systems is known to biologists, physiologists, neurologists and psychologists as homeostasis. This state occurs at certain times during the day. For instance, when you wake up in the morning. However, a massive and spontaneous increase in sympathetic nervous system activation can cause a major activation of the parasympathetic nervous system following fight or flight. What can often happen after the move from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system is that any adrenaline that is not used up during the fight or flight response is retained in the body, and this can effectively lead you to still feel as though you're wound up. And this will affect your ability to sleep. So the body's stress response, known as fight or flight, and governed by the amygdala via the sympathetic nervous system, allows it to take control in order to defend, fight or run. And this is generally a good thing when faced with a significant threat. However, if stress levels rise too far, then cognitive and many other physical skills can decline and burn out. Again, this is something we'll cover in a later video. Also, there are times when using the fight or flight response might not be appropriate, such as, for instance, when we should really be using de-escalation to calm a situation. Instead, fight or flight can make it worse, and this is why as a response, it's a little outdated in the modern environment. After all, its original purpose was really to save us from being eaten. Now, this is potentially dangerous and could lead to severe injury or death, or on the flip side, assuming we survive the incident, it could lead to moral and even legal repercussions afterwards. Therefore, in summation, an inability to manage the fight or flight response could potentially lead to a fatality. Now, it's impossible to completely control your heart rate in high stress incidents and therefore reverse the activation of the SNS. However, it is possible to manage it in advance through stress inoculation, for instance through conditioning, and this can allow optimal performance for as long as possible. Again, that's something I'll be talking about in future videos. Now, the other method is through breathing, which allows the somatic nervous system to control the autonomic nervous system. In other words, by actually consciously controlling our breathing, we can bring the automatic nervous system under control, as we don't just breathe involuntary, but we can also breathe according to conscious command. Now, this is where the process known as tactical breathing, as taught extensively by David Grossman and others, comes in. And I'll just briefly outline how this works. And this is as follows. First, you inhale with a deep breath slowly for 4 seconds. Second, you then hold your breath for 4 seconds. Thirdly, this is followed by completely exhaling your breath slowly for 4 seconds. Finally, you hold your empty breath for 4 seconds. And you continue repeating this until breathing and heart rate are brought under control. Now, you actually have to be quite disciplined to use this under stress, especially if there is full-on arousal. However, in this respect, it is good in practice to practice it in advance by building up neural pathways so that recalling it under stress becomes automatic or second nature. You can do this by repetition, in other words, practicing it over and over again. And the best way that I could recommend doing this is to download a free app called Tactical Breather to your smartphone, and the link for this can be found below this video or on the blog associated with it. I strongly recommend using this. I use it myself, and I strongly believe it's the best way of learning and practicing this technique. So the great thing about tactical breathing and using the app, which I recommend to practice, is that you can use this in any instance where stress is encountered. Indeed, it is similar to many techniques taught by psychologists and psychiatrists to their clients. The benefits of using breathing to control the sympathetic nervous system are demonstrated not just in terms of lowering the heart rate, but also in reversing the other physiological changes that take place. This includes relaxing the muscle tension that takes place when the sympathetic nervous system is activated. And it's for this reason that breathing is used so extensively in systema, in order to expunge tension from the body whilst working so that movement is more fluid and relaxed. The benefits of this are not only does it increase the practitioner's chance of survival in a real combat situation, but it actually also reduces the chances of injury occurring during training.
Now, interestingly, Vladimir Vasiliev, who's the chief instructor for Systema in the West and based in Canada, has recently produced a new instructional DVD and digital download entitled Breathing and Fear, which is about this very subject. And if you'd like to find out more about this and how to obtain a copy, there's actually a link to the Russian martial art website included on the blog post that accompanies this video. And you'll find the link for that blog post in the section below. Also, there are links to other sources of information with regards to the work of David Grossman and other people in this field, which you also may find of interest. So go ahead and check that post out now. So that's about it. I'd like to say thank you very much. That about wraps it up. If you'd like to find out more about the subject which is covered in this video and you'd like to contact me, or maybe some of the other subjects which have been covered in the other videos on this YouTube channel, then by all means get in touch. My email address is mail@nicholas-davis.com, so by all means send me an email and I'll be very pleased to hear from you. So that's about it. I'd like to say thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.